watering. So, we're always learning, I personally am always learning about the dome and growing in the dome. And Kim, our local resource, has a 33-foot dome. And she and Alan went away from the winter, very wise people. And the snow was so deep that our neighbor Joni couldn't get to the dome to water as often as she wanted to. And I think it was, how long did it go without watering? About 2 months, perhaps? 6 weeks?
It probably got water twice in 2 months' time.
Twice in 2 months. And when you got home, the plants were...
Looked like when we left.
Isn't that incredible?
No heat.
So that got me to thinking, it's like, well, how much water does a dome really need? So we started experimenting with a moisture meter, and we were going the dome, and it looked like it needed watering. The soil was totally dry, and normally we would water it, but we put the moisture meter in, and about an inch down it was dry, but the deeper you went, down to about 6 inches, the wetter and wetter it was until 6 inches down, it didn't need watering at all. So this was a great learning, especially as a lot of pests like slugs and sourbugs, those kind of things, they reproduce like crazy if you have a lot of damp soil. So we've actually bought 20 moisture meters. We're going to give away a moisture meter each new dome owner, because I've discovered the value of not overwatering. You know, basically, I think the plants do really well if you just sense, I mean, you can kind of develop a relationship with the plants, and you know when they need water. I mean, if they're severely wilted, obviously they need water, but there's a point at which they just look as though they're going to start to wilt, and that's the time when you're going to water. Now, of course, if you've got little seedlings, then you have to keep the top inch moist, or else they're going to die, because that's time from them putting out the first little tentative roots and shoots. They definitely need the water to be there for them to germinate properly. So if you've got new plants, make sure that area is watered. But otherwise, use the moisture meter, because if you overwater, it doesn't do the plants any good, and it's a lot better in terms of pests and diseases. So we're learning about watering. And the other thing I do is I often, instead of broadcasting water of the whole thing, I go and do spot watering of each particular plant, imagining the size of the root ball for that plant, and that way we've prevented slugs and those kind of pests from multiplying through watering. Any other questions on watering? In the summer, you have to water a lot more often. We generally water maybe twice a week in the summer and once a week in the winter. Yes?
What do you use to water?
Well, in the winter, I personally dip the watering can in the water tank, trying to avoid getting snails or water plants in there, and I water out the tank because it's all frozen outside. I don't run a hose in, and so and also the water in that case has all the nutrients from the fish, and we're going to be talking about growing fish in the water tank. But I water out the tank in the winter, and in the summer I bring in a hose through the window or the door and water with the hose. I actually have irrigation systems in my 2 domes. One of them has a little drip system on a timer, and the other has a mini sprays as well. And generally I put them on a timer, but timers are notoriously unreliable, so I've sort of lost a lot of faith in water timers.
So how do you get to so how does the water get to the drip system if you don't run a hose?
Yeah, in the summer I run a hose, in the winter
Oh, and
I
you
don't.
hook it up to your drip
Just
system.
hook the hose up to the drip system. Yeah, because in the winter the hose freezes,
Yeah.
so you can't